It's 2026. You got your journal full of ideas. You got your cup of tea or coffee ready to go. And yes, you told your mom you are going to tackle that book this year. But didn't you say that last year? How about the year before that? Now, there's a reason why you haven't accomplished that book yet, even though you clearly want to. Hey, that's why you clicked on this video. And it's not for lack of talent. It's not for lack of knowing your story. It's actually specific roadblocks that are designed to keep you in that aspiring mode. So follow along with me in this video to see how you can overcome those roadblocks so by the end of this year, you can actually be holding your own book in your hands. Let's get started. One of the biggest issues that's going to plague you is you've probably heard this excuse from everybody. If you ask your friend, hey, let's go get coffee, they probably said, oh, sorry, I don't have time. Am I the only one that feels like time is the biggest restraint in life? Even bigger than finances. Your time is a precious resource. So you want to use your time wisely. I remember when I was in high school, I was in musical theater, which is 2 to 3 hours after school. I was in choir, which was an hour before school. I also went to church youth group, and I went to church on Sunday, and I spent time with family. And guess what? I still made time to watch television and play video games and spend time with friends. Why? Because it was important to me. You don't find time, you make time. And the only way that you're going to actually get your book done this year is if you decide to make it a priority. And you might have to shelve some other things for later. You might have to shelve some other projects for later. And guess what? If you don't genuinely want to put the time writing a book, then don't write the book. No one's going to penalize you for it. But if you really want to get that book done in 2026, make time. Now, this next reason is everywhere, especially in the artistic field. And it's this thing that you've probably heard floating around called imposter syndrome. Have you ever thought to yourself, I really love the Lord of the Rings, or insert any books that you love. I really love the Lord of the Rings. I really love Mistborn. I really love the Lunar Chronicles, and I want to write something that's that good. Like you just watch a movie or read a book and just crave to make something that amazing. And then you go and you sit down and you start typing, and it just isn't it isn't that amazing, and you just sit there, and I have sat there and gone, this is not good. It's not good enough. Why should I even try if it's not going to be excellent? Well, when you're trying to do something, you kind of need to do it in order to do it. What do I mean by that? Well, when I was a kid, I loved swimming, but I would always stay in the shallow end of the pool because I was hardly over 3 feet, and I wanted to make sure that I could reach the bottom, reach the sides, keep myself safe. I was comfortable being in the shallow end, but all of my friends were over in the 12+ foot section having a good time, and it was frustrating because I wanted to play with my friends, but I was so scared. I was so scared to go into the deep end. So I ended up taking swim lessons when I was probably 6 or 7. And I really enjoyed swimming. I was good at it. And then the last class of swim lessons, the instructors took us to the deep end and they said, jump in and swim to the other side. And I was mortified. I was like, if I can't touch the wall or the floor, I'm going to drown. I don't know what to do. And I was like, okay, I need to jump. I am so scared. The instructor is telling me, she's standing or floating there saying she will catch me. And I was like, everyone else has done it. I'm pretty sure I was the last person to do it. And I jumped in and I floated. And I was so excited. I swam all the way down and all the way back and all the way down and all the way back again. I didn't know I could do it until I just started to do it. So how do you overcome the not being good enough? Well, you gotta practice. Your first book isn't probably gonna be the best-selling book you're expecting it to be. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. You're not writing a bestseller book as your first book. You're drafting a rough story as your first book. So don't worry that it's not going to be good enough. Just accept the fact that you have to do something in order to get better at it. As next pitfall, boy, is it terrible. I have been here, I've gone through it, and it's awful, and it's just feeling stuck. You're writing, and your character's interesting, and then they start going on this adventure, and you just don't know what to do next. And it's so aggravating, and it's so disheartening feeling stuck. I've been there. I went through a period of about 2 to 3 years that I hated writing. Because every time I sat down to write, I would feel stuck. Every time I would sit down, I would write a few paragraphs, and then as I was trying to think of the next steps, it just wouldn't come. Like, what? I just felt stuck, and I felt trapped, and writing to me felt useless. Until one day, I had a friend of mine tell me, this is really good. You understand characters really well. You're getting into the character psyche. That's when it clicked for me. When you're feeling stuck, it's because you don't know enough. Or you're just feeling the imposter syndrome. Now, imposter syndrome shows up when you care about something. And when you care about something, you acknowledge that imposter syndrome, go, okay, I acknowledge that you're here. I acknowledge that I care about it. And then you just shove aside that imposter syndrome and start going. You aren't alone in feeling stuck. Every writer, every artist has felt stuck in their craft. You're not alone. So get in a community and be encouraged by other writers. Learn more about your craft, which, hey, kudos to you. That's what you're here doing right now. And just keep writing. You won't be stuck forever. Often it just takes one mindset shift. So even after you're done feeling stuck, you can still run into this next pitfall, and that is you feel like your story just sucks. And it doesn't work, and it's not really meshing together. It's not working, and it's so frustrating because you're excited. You want to write the book, and as you're writing, it's just like this isn't working, and that dissuades a lot of people from keeping on and going and finishing their story. So here's the fact: you're a good reader. That does not make you a good writer. One of my author mentors told me this. She said a lot of writers feel frustrated when they're starting out because they've read hundreds of books. Of course, they should be a good writer. But that's not actually the case. You see, the skill set for writing and the skill set for reading are two very different things. You don't expect to be a doctor simply because you've gone to the doctor your whole life. That's the same thing as expecting you to write well because you've been reading your whole life. Does it help? Yes, it does. But think of a doctor. They go through 8+ years of extra levels of collegiate study in order to even get their doctorate. And then they're constantly practicing. As a new writer, your first story's probably gonna be bad, and that's okay. My first draft of a book was not good because I started it way too late in the story, and it was in multiple points of view, and then it switched to just one, and as I was getting close to the end, I realized this is actually ending where I want my second book to be happening. So my first book, my first draft was a mess. So if your story sucks or feels like it just doesn't work, that is perfectly fine. That's actually great because you're aware of the problem. And you can't fix a problem until you are aware of it. So now that you know that your story could be better, That means you have the knowledge of storytelling to analyze your book, your story critically and go, this could be better. How can I make it better? And you can improve. The best stories aren't written, they're rewritten. So I said there's going to be 4 hurdles to overcome. There's actually a 5th one, and that's the fear of being bad. Might sound like the previous one a little bit, but that's different. Story being bad is different from you feeling like you're a bad writer. Everyone has to learn to accept that they are a writer in order to be a writer. That's it. Just one little mindset shift of I want to be a writer to I am a writer. So join me right now. Say, I am a writer. I am a writer. I am a writer. Just say it until you believe it. Because guess what? If you write, you are a writer. You don't have to publish 17 books a year to be a writer. You don't even have to write every day to be a writer. I don't write every day. I try to, but I don't write every day, and that's okay. You are a writer, and writers write. I had been world building my story for 5+ years and trying to figure out all the details and nitty-gritty and the character arcs and complicated magic systems that keep creating more magic systems. And I had huge Excel spreadsheets of just information and characters and who's related to who. And I was talking to one of my author mentors, and she's like, Alyssa, stop. You know plenty about your world. You just gotta start writing. Stop planning. Start drafting. 5 months later, first book drafted. Was it a mess? Yes. Yes, it was a mess. But it was a done mess. It was a written mess. And it was a book. It was finished. So how you get over this fear of being bad? Just do it. Make an outline, set a schedule, and just write the book. You can accomplish writing a book in 2026. Just set aside time. If it's important to you, you will make time for it. If you like to scroll on YouTube and watch videos about writing or shorts or whatever, you make time for that. Even if you don't feel like you're good enough, you won't get better unless you do it. And if you're feeling stuck, everybody feels stuck at some point. Get in a community of other writers. Find other writers to talk to. Hey, start that in the comments. Reach out in the comments of this video to other writers. I comment to other comments as well. So if you have questions or you just want to find community, there's so many resources out there to find people, or just in your own friend group, ask if anyone wants to write or is writing and get connected to people. If you feel like your story just doesn't work, hey, that's great. You're aware of a problem, and every good story isn't written. It is rewritten and rewritten and rewritten again. So you just keep working at your craft and it'll get stronger. And don't fear being bad. You are a writer if you write. So get to writing. And if you need some help with creating a strong, cohesive story, check out this video right here.